Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss the reports that some Tory MPs are understandably panicking about the prospects of a Liz Truss government as Labour opens up a hefty lead over the Conservatives across all the prominent pollsters now. And the reason's quite simple. The public are staring down the barrel of a quite apocalyptic increase in the severity of the cost of living crisis within a matter of weeks. Labour have announced a plan that is finding strong approval amongst the public, including overwhelming approval by Conservative voters. And the likely next Prime Minister, Liz Truss, is insisting that we do nothing to shield people from these effects at all. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I do hope the Tories have run out of road this time. I saw on the front page of the Daily Express this morning the nonsense about the deal with the CPTPP again. Boris Johnson's attempts to join the Pacific Trading Bloc. The headline goes, Boris, mighty trade, everything's mighty or world beating. There probably wasn't enough room on it for world beating with those size letters. Mighty trade deal to cut bills. Oh yeah. Where have we heard that one before? Wasn't Brexit supposed to cut our bills? What happened there? Absolute nonsense as well. Joining the Pacific Trading Bloc, if it even happens, which is doubtful, will do nothing for us. It's another classic case of the Tories trying to get the public to vote for pain today on the promise of jam tomorrow. And it has pained me to see it work so many times before. Because this is what they always do. It's always jam tomorrow. I remember when Labour came to power in 1997, the impact was immediate. There were things they did in their first 100 days where you could actually see it. What improvements have we seen in this country even after 12 years of Tory rule? Never mind, name me tangible benefits of Brexit. Who can name me a tangible benefit of any kind that we have seen in the UK since 2010 thanks to the Tories? What have they done that has made people's lives better? Healthcare is harder to get. Social care is harder to get. It's harder to get police to investigate crimes. It takes years for many violent crimes, even when prosecuted, to come to court. People's incomes has fallen behind 2010 in real terms. The relative cost of basics has massively increased. We're facing supply problems of basics like food and medicines. Everywhere you look, it's a disaster. What benefit did we get that even goes some way to compensating for all this? I can think of nothing. All we got every election was a promise of pain today for jam tomorrow. People have had their pain. Where's their jam? Oh yeah, tomorrow. Sorry, right, I forgot. But now it's the Tories who are panicking. I spoke a bit ago, a week or two ago, about how I was a little bit perplexed that Ipsos Mori and YouGov, two pollsters whose methodology and results I respect, were completely at odds over voting intention. Ipsos had Labour with a large lead over the Conservatives. YouGov had them pretty much neck and neck. Now, I could go with either result, but it was odd that they were so different. And I put it down to the fickle nature of those swing voters not really knowing what was going on. They knew that Johnson had failed, but the government's going through another rebirth. I still think that Truss, assuming she does win, is going to get time from the public. There'll be a bit of a bounce back in the polls. The first couple of weeks will be lots of promises of jam tomorrow, just as every Tory leader before had promised, and the public will go, I like jam, or let's hear her out. But this time she's not going to have long to deliver. And these latest polls reflect that. There's no longer any great disparity. Labour have got a large lead over the Conservatives with all major pollsters now. And here's where the panic for Tories is understandable, because right now, Liz Truss is adopting the position she needs in order to win the Conservative Party members over. I've said before, she cannot stick to this line. If she tries, she's got a very limited time in office, then she's gone. If she messes up this autumn, that's it, she's done. Her current policy statements are very far removed from what the public need and, more importantly, what the public want. Now, if Truss was likely to about face and actually do something to deal with the urgent cost of living crisis, then it'd be fine from the point of view of Tories. There'd be no need to panic. Wait until mid-September, then she'll announce a raft of measures that she'd pretty much ruled out during the leadership contest, and all will be well. The Tory party members are going, hang on a minute, what's going on here? But ultimately, the public is who she'll need to win over at that point. In fact, Truss could actually do this in a way that doesn't annoy Tory party members, maybe. In the short term, I've seen a proposal put together by energy companies that would allow for the energy cap to be frozen. It sort of has the same effect on the public as Labour's plan. It's like, oh, it would freeze our bills. That's all the public want. Where this plan is different, however, and where it's much more short-term in its scope, is whereas Labour's plan is to tax oil and gas companies to pay for it, so it doesn't come out of our taxes, the money needed to freeze these bills, this alternative plan basically dumps the money onto our future tax bill. Also, it costs double Labour's plan. So Labour's plan is to extract a certain amount of money from oil and gas companies. You could say the plan is 26 billion, but in reality, some of that is savings as well. And to transfer it to give into the energy companies, not for their profits. It's not taking profits from one corporation to another, but to just cover the shortfall that they will need to operate. This plan of the energy companies is going to cost 50 billion, which is double Labour's cost, and it's going to dump it directly onto our taxes. I mean, I read it and I thought this is a proper Tory thing to do. Labour's plan is to take the money needed from corporate profits in order to protect the living standards of ordinary people. This plan, which I don't know is finding favour amongst Conservatives, but if it is, it would take taxpayer money to shore up corporate profits. And in the short term, it would have the effect of freezing those lower energy bills. It would be popular. Truss could go for it, claim that she had a better plan than Labour, and Labour will have a devil of a job trying to point out to people, no, our plan meant taking corporate profits to protect you. You're going to pay for this and double later on. You try, seeing how Labour try and get that message out there against the mainstream media. I can see it happening. She gets to freeze those bills without increasing any taxes, at least not in the short term. They'll be going up later a lot. But maybe there's some reason that will stop her adopting this plan. Maybe it's just too short term. Maybe they just know that they can't keep doing that. Tory MPs know Liz Truss better than I do. They may think that she's actually serious about the economic plan she's selling to Tory party members, that she's actually intending to do it. Because her economic plan is nonsense. She keeps talking about cutting taxes to stimulate growth. But there are a couple of major problems with the concept. First of all, we're headed into a recession. Any genuine plan to stimulate growth would take time. Truss will have 3 weeks to act before those energy bills massively increase again. She doesn't have the time. Second, it won't stimulate growth anyway. The idea, the actual theory of tax cuts stimulating growth is to increase demand. The theory is, so you cut taxes so people now got more money in their pockets. So they've got more money to spend. This generates increased demand. Production then increases to meet the demand. More jobs, blah, 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 stimulate growth. We don't have a demand problem. We have a supply problem. If you cut taxes and increase demand, but supply is the problem, you don't trigger increased production because we can't meet supply needs right now. All you do is increase inflation for no benefit. The whole premise is a complete nonsense. It's political ideology completely untempered by looking at what's actually going on in the economy right now. And it's hypocritical as well, because these same Tories that stroke their beards and say, yes, of course we should cut taxes so that people have more money in their pockets to stimulate growth, are the same ones who say that we shouldn't pay low-income workers more because that'll drive up inflation on exactly the same basis that they'll have more money in their pockets. Make your mind up. And for those who wonder if I'm not prey to the same hypocrisy because I'm not arguing for the tax cuts, but I am arguing for the raised pay, it's quite simple. Tax cuts means cuts across the board, even to people who don't need it, and it means cuts to public services because the government have less money to spend. Pay increases for those on lower incomes mean you've targeted at those people who cannot afford the cost of living, who cannot afford to buy food. I don't care if it triggers a small inflationary effect on giving lower paid workers more money. That inflationary effect is lessened and targeted to people who need it to live. I do care if there's extra inflation caused by wealthy people saving a few quid on their taxes because they don't need it, and it'll hurt us in public service losses. But getting back to the point, and this is very high stakes stuff. Like I say, the public will give Liz Truss a chance. Absolutely they will. They always do. Never mind the fact that 12 years of Tory rule has brought them only falling living standards. They don't seem to remember that. But they do know they're facing a very rapid fall in living standards now. They'll give her time to see what she does. Fair enough. If she comes up with a plan to at least temporarily ease the crisis in a way that's seen as at least as good as Labour's plan, the public will warm to her. Might still go wrong if the NHS collapses this winter and the recession is as long and deep as predicted, especially if accompanied by continued stagflation. But in the short term, she'll get away with it. But the way Tories work, any apparent good they do always has a big tax bill attached to be opened later. So even the energy plan I talked about can't deal with the issue long term. She still has to do something that will ease her passage towards an election in 2024 or maybe even the start of 2025. For people who think she'll get a big poll boost if she gets it right this autumn and can go to the polls, say December, I don't think she'll get that big a poll boost. And if she doesn't engineer any sort of short-term win over these energy bills this October, she will be finished before she's even started. This is probably what Tory MPs are worried about. Not so much that they're certain Truss is going to mess it up, just the worry that Truss may not actually have a credible plan, and they know she could lose her credibility with the public before the year is out. If she doesn't get off to a good start, she's gone. And once she's lost that credibility, it's probably impossible to restore. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.